Molweni, namkelekile bukhosini. This is the Royal House with myself, the King, the one who reigns supreme. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Let Us Talk with King, the podcast. Cycle.1, and if you want to be part of the royal family, you can do that by liking, subscribing, and hitting me up on Instagram. It's at KIING_NO1. That's at King_1. And you can also ring down the bell button below where you can get notifications for whenever I put out content. So this is Cycle.1. Cycle.1 carries 5 episodes, which I'm going to be releasing each and every Wednesday at 6, starting today, the 1st of June, up until the 29th of June. That will be the last day, which I'm concluding Cycle.1. And this is to just educate you and have a conversation with the King on things that we hardly speak about with our friends. And keeping in mind, it all comes from a queer person's perspective. We have been marginalized and put aside from many other conversations, but this is a safe space to express ourselves as queer people. And please come in and indulge in such conversations. Enjoy, learn, and start those conversations at home with your friends, with your peers, and with me by commenting down below. Again, this is the Royal House. Let us talk with King, the podcast. Enjoy. It is only fitting that today's conversation is titled Queer is African. Understanding that we're celebrating Pride Month, a happy Pride Month to my fellow LGBTQIA plus members. We see you. We see the struggle, we see the fight, and we hear you. Let's keep on pushing, let's keep on fighting, let's keep on talking, let's keep on expressing ourselves, because one day we will be free to be who we want to be. Now, the reason why I'm having this conversation today is, one, for us to start having such conversations in our homes, in our places of worship, where we get to practice our religion, in our schools, in our places of work, in higher places. We need to start having these conversations to erase the taboo when we African people speak of queer people. When we African people speak of queer people who are living in Africa, when we African people speak of queer people who are Africans, we need to let it be known that queer is African. And the reason why I'm saying this, because life and being alive is a birthright for all. And it saddens me that the queer people have to sleep and wake up each and every day to fight for the expression of self and for freedom in Africa. The same Africa that prides itself in Ubuntu, inclusivity, and diversity. It is the same Africa that does not accept the queer. It is not embracing diversity and inclusivity and the queer people being part of Africa and being part of that. I mean, queer people have existed in Africa since the dawn of time. There were leaders and great rulers and prominent people who were idolized and worshipped by commoners, who would have sexual relations with people of the same sex. They would go and get married to people of the same sex, and some would even get dressed in clothing of the opposite sex. But we won't know that, because when the white people came with civilization, they took away not only our land and our riches, but they took away our history too, and hypnotized us with the Bible saying that God is not in favor of the queer people. and the hypocrisy of black men. We will see the wrong that has been done to us by the white people, but whenever we want to demolish another black person, we would use the Bible and some other weapons that were used to destroy and take away from us. We would use the same weapons to divide each other and use these weapons against each other. There are countries in Africa that still believe queer is not African because the white and the Bible says it is not African, and they kill the queer people, they imprison the queer people, and some harshly punish the queer people for what? For living their life and loving the next person. We stopped being Africans when we stopped practicing what we preached to the world, which is Ubuntu, diversity and inclusivity. We stopped being African when we started killing, constraining, and depriving queer people of their rights. Which raises a question to all those self-claimed Africans. Are you really African when what you preach to the world you do not practice? When Ubuntu, diversity and inclusivity is not practiced? When you say queer is not African, are you really African? If queer is not African, then we wouldn't have been born in Africa with the skins we have and the languages we speak, which are African. We wouldn't been entrusted with the gifts by the gods and the ancestors to communicate with them, the gifts to heal the world and better the world. Africa is so indoctrinated in this black and white system that we get to forget that there are other colors that are there to adorn the skies and the beautiful landscape of this beautiful African continent. And to those who say queer is not African, those who kill in prison, and those who do not want to liberate the queer, queer is more African than you self-claimed to be African people. If you say queer is not African, if you're constraining and depriving a queer person from living, then you're spitting on the graves of your ancestors who lived to fight for your freedom, who lived to fight for equality, who lived for an expression of a black person. People who say queer is not Africans are the same people who are blocking the progression and the growth of Africa and the innovation of Africa for the current Africans and for the future of Africa. So please do think before you say queer is un-African, because queer is, was, and will forever be African.